In that case, I did a 90-minute workout every single day. Every single day I did something, but it missed the vast majority of those workouts in auto detection.
Ooh, that's bad. It's missing half of his workouts. That's bad. This new Polar product is huge news for me because I got this Whoop band. Christmas is just around the corner. And unfortunately with the Whoop, you have that huge annual membership that you got to pay each year. So I've been looking to see, is there a more economical, screenless fitness wearable that exists out there that can meet the needs that's helped me on my current fitness journey, as I've currently lost about 20 pounds this year so far. So DC Rainmaker, who makes a lot of great fitness wearable content, dropped a video about this release of the Polar Loop. Let's take a look and see if it really is a good Whoop substitute or alternative and just helps you get fit without distraction.
It is finally here, a Whoop competitor from Polar.
I really hope this is just the screenshot of the current UI. Like I have the Polar chest strap, the Heartbeat, I think it's called, because this UI might be the ugliest UI I've ever seen. Like the Whoop UI is so nice. It's so nice, so intuitive, so smooth, built for me. This thing is just like, it looks like a bunch of engineers built it. Doesn't look like any product designers had a say.
Okay, so let's just simply dive into it. And the very first thing you need to know is the price. It is $199 US, 179 euros, and 149 British pounds.
That $199 price point, that looks good. I mean, that's better than Whoop, right? For what's probably going to be a one-time purchase price, I'm liking that.
Most importantly, though, the fact is that there is no subscription fee. I cannot emphasize this enough. There is no subscription fee for this at all. Everything in the Polar Flow platform that you would normally get with the wearable is included in this price.
Oh, I love this so much. The fact that it's a one-time fee without a subscription immediately makes it much more affordable than the Whoop.
It's a huge difference from Whoop, which of course does have a subscription fee that roughly ranges about $200 to $250 US per year.
You know, in theory, if you use the Whoop for 5 years, you've paid like almost $1,000 to Whoop for the same product you've been getting. That's so much money.
In terms of colors, there are 3 different color options. You can see them on the screen right there. There's also additional color bands that are offered, and you can see those on the screen right there. They're 19 euros or 29 US dollars, all of which are incredibly reasonable prices compared to Whoop's, which bands cost like 60, 70, 90, 100. They cost silly amounts of money for a simple fabric band.
And I love the band pricing so much. The Whoop band pricing, what is it like? I think it's like over $100 to get a Whoop band. Now they have knockoff Whoop bands that you can get on Temu. I think I've got one of those before and it looked pretty good, but coming out with different colors right out of the box and different options for less than $30 USD. I love that. Polar, you're nailing it so far.
All you need to know is it's got a Polar Precision Prime sensor on the back of it, and it's got about 8 days of battery life inside of it. In fact, that is the singular internal difference between the Polar 360 you see right here and the Polar Loop. The Polar 360 has about 2 days less battery life, so roughly about 5 to 6 days of battery life, versus the Polar Loop has that 8 days of battery life. The other difference is on the outside shell. The Polar 360 is plastic because it's designed for business use cases, versus the Polar Loop has a stainless steel case in, of course, different colors.
So that's really interesting because Polar already had this product called the Polar 360, a screenless wearable band targeted at more business use cases, you know, worker monitoring and efficiency and all that. So that makes me believe that this Polar Loop product is going to be really good right out of the gates because it's not just some brand new thing that they're shipping. It's the first time it's going to be out in the wild outside of the labs. Like, no, they've essentially had almost the exact same product that they've just been collecting data from, getting user feedback from with big business customers, and now they're releasing the consumer version. So that's a very good sign that it's probably going to be a really robust product right out of the gate.
So the very first thing that's going to happen is you're going to wake up. And when you wake up, you're going to see all those sleep stats in the Polar Flow platform.
So I like all the things it's measuring, like the different sleep stages, how well you slept, giving you a sleep score. But this UI is just so ugly. And why is it all white? I really hope there's a nighttime version because when you open that screen first thing in the morning, you don't want to be blasted with the white light.
This has always been my biggest complaint about Polar's sleep stats. It's just a giant dumpster fire of sleep stats.
Holy hell, this thing is so ugly. I don't like how it looks at all.
That is going to change though with the new Polar Flow platform. So there are basically two phases there. Phase 2 is coming very short term by the end of the year. In fact, almost immediately for Android users.
Okay, this is really important. Always buy a product for what it is today. As circumstances change, they go a different direction maybe. What they promise isn't end up what gets delivered. So I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. I'm glad to know that it's something they're working on. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it for that. What do I get for Christmas decision for myself? Or what do I ask from someone, right? But you got to get how it is on day one. That's what you're buying.
And then phase 3 is more like a visionary thing down the road.
Here's what I think happened. I feel like they wanted to launch with the new refresh, but then September came and the app wasn't ready. So what do? Do you wait and hold back from releasing the Polar Loop until after the Christmas shopping season? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So they said, screw it. We're going to release the product. We're going to release it with the existing UI, the existing platform, and then over time, we'll do the updates and enhancements. I think it was probably the right decision to make. Honestly, if I was working there, I'd probably do the same thing. But I think they messed up. I don't think this was the plan. It's a really weird plan if so, but I feel like that's what happened.
The next piece then is just general activity tracking throughout the day, like steps and stuff like that. You'll see that screen right here. This is where Polar is super limited compared to all their competitors. This is true on their smartwatches as well, and remains limited here.
I love that they count steps. I've currently been doing about 10 to 15,000 steps a day. I got the standing desk here, and I've got a walking pad. So having a step counter on my wrist is key. The problem is that the wrist-based step counters are never that good. It's always better to have like a phone in your pocket because it actually gets like the swing of your legs. But when you're like me and you're a desk worker, you'll have your hand fixed at your keyboard or your mouse while you're working, and it doesn't actually count the steps. So I like that it has a step counter, but for someone like me, I just know it's gonna suck.
Is that when you want to do a workout, it should go ahead and capture that workout as a workout. So you start a run, it should capture the run. You start a ride, it should do the ride. But as you see from all these details here, there are so many caveats to when it's going to do that or not going to do that. For example, during some of my cycling workouts where I had a big climb, it captured that perfectly. But then as I started descending down this mountain for like a half an hour or so, it would actually end that activity session entirely.
Ooh, that is not good. That is not good because sometimes I'm doing an exercise, like I like to go paddleboard on a river, and I'm gonna have parts of it where I'm doing a high effort piece, but other times I'm kind of just like relaxing, enjoying nature. I'm still getting exercise, it's still an activity, but the idea that the Polar Loop will just turn off activity mode, I guess, without me saying so because my heart rate dropped, like that seems like it. That's like the classic, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Whenever you start hearing that, it's not a good thing.
You will see that training load number displayed right there, that TRIMP number, compared to Whoop, which has their silly maximum of 21 per day. And look, I can talk an entire video about how Whoop's training load thing is wonky, and that's the reason why no one else in the industry does it that way, but we'll save that for another video. I really appreciate Polar going with the standard thing here they've been doing for years, and the same thing that everyone else in the industry does.
So he's saying he doesn't like the whole Whoop thing where it has this like logarithmic score of how much effort you've exerted for the day. And he likes this TRIMP thing. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem obvious to me what TRIMP is. Let me know in the comments if you understand TRIMP because I'm not familiar with it. I like that they do have a measure of overall exertion, but I don't know what TRIMP is. So let me know if you know.
But I want you to look closely at that middle screenshot there, the week of the 25th through the 31st. In that case, I did a 90-minute workout every single day. Every single day I did something, but it missed the vast majority of those workouts in auto detection.
Ooh, that's bad. It's missing half of his workouts. That's bad.
Even in Whoop's case, if it misses an auto detection, which is exceptionally rare, it still captures that heart rate at a higher level and still contributes to the strain and the training load. In the case of Polar, if that workout was missed, it doesn't contribute to your training load or strain in any way, shape, or form. It's just simply gone. And further, in the case of Polar, you can't edit it or add them after the fact. It's just, again, gone.
No, that's really bad because one of my favorite things about Whoop is like sometimes I forget to start a workout, or sometimes it's just a busy day, like I'm just going around town, I'm at the mall, I'm moving stuff around where I live, and I want to capture all that exertion, but I'm not going to record it as an exercise, but it still does, and it takes it into account. And when I see how much I've exerted myself for the day, I'm like, yeah, it's accurate. The fact that Polar might not catch any of that, and if you don't log it as an activity in the moment, you can't go back and change it later, and it doesn't go towards your overall exertion score. That's like a key fundamental part of why I use Whoop and like why I love Whoop.
Now, the good news is that at least before your workout, if you plan to do that workout, you can turn it on manually in the same way that you might have used the Polar Beat app in the past. So you can go into the start option there, and you can basically choose to start a session. It'll leverage this sensor right here, and it'll create a set defined session there, including GPS if it's outdoors. So you can see that right here. And this basically says, hey, it's exactly between point A and point B. You would stop and end it on your phone, just like you would a workout on your watch. And again, Whoop has that same functionality as well to do defined workouts. And the advantage of doing it this way is that if you did have GPS with it, it would sync off to Strava, Training Peaks, etc., with that GPS data.
All right, so it's got some GPS stuff, it's got some workout syncing stuff. Good.
And you can see both the Whoop on there as well as the Polar 360. They're identical, like perfectly compared to the heart rate chest strap that I have there. And then here is the climbing portion of a couple hour ride that I did. And you can see it is spot on there. Actually slightly beating the Whoop MG, which had a couple little squabbles that you can see there. Note the colors did change from the previous graph. But as I descended, the Polar automatically ended the activity because per their entire specs of how they do activity detection, it now had fallen below the threshold and thus ended that activity.
So what I'm hearing is the Polar Loop sensor's great, if not even a tiny bit better than, I think he had the Whoop MG on there, which is like the premium Whoop product, but it just stopped recording when he was going downhill on his bike. This is a classic example of a phrase I like to call, the operation was a success, but the patient died. Like the product worked to the specs of when it's recording an activity based on your heart rate and when it's supposed to turn off, but they didn't take into account that sometimes people have rest pieces or pieces where there's some sort of other thing going on in your environment where your heart rate's going to naturally lower. So that's a big miss.
Okay, so where are we overall? Well, one of the things that's made Whoop so incredibly successful, aside from paying a boatload of influencers out there, is the fact that their auto detection is really, really good. It's what makes this a wear it and forget it sort of thing. You don't think about it, it just does everything behind the scenes. As of right now, and as of the specs that Polar has, Polar's loop band isn't that when it comes to training load. There's going to be a lot of manual intervention there in some way, shape, or form in order to get those numbers vaguely correct. And that is a huge difference. So while I think this will eventually be a Whoop competitor, it isn't there today. In fact, I would say that the Amazfit band is probably a closer version of that to Whoop than this is today, despite the fact that this is doing a lot of things right.
Feels like a bit of a deal breaker for me. Like one of my favorite parts about the Whoop, the whole reason I'm getting a screenless wearable tracker is on those busy days when I'm not going to be on the thing. I don't even want to know it's there. I just want to know that it's tracking stuff without me having to worry about it. And then, maybe 2 days pass, the busy periods pass, I finally have time to take a look. I can see all my stats, how my heart rate was, my stress levels, all of that. I didn't have to touch the product. I didn't have to touch the app. And so it sounds like the Polar Loop way more hands-on, which in my opinion kind of defeats the purpose of the whole always running in the background. Don't even have to worry about looking at the screenless wearable. To me, Polar Flow is a strange product because Polar in general seems to be more tailored towards athletic performance versus Whoop is more of a holistic wellness product. But then Polar Flow's biggest gap is that it doesn't measure the athletic performance very well and will turn off measurement of it if you're not careful. So am I going to get the Polar Flow for Christmas? Am I going to swap the Whoop out for the Polar Flow? Undecided. That price point is super attractive, but there's also the Amazfit, their new product. I think it's called the Helio strap that I have to consider as well. So let me know in the comments which screenless wearable you think is the best. I'm Calvin Crouchulo. Thank you for watching.